because they were not giving us air support west of the river. So we blew up the tubes. We laced them with 1 inch on the bottom to put the dog and the explosives in. Guys kicked on fins, and just like a lazy river, they offset 300 meters north, and they came down like a lazy river and skirted that 100 meters. Took about 45 minutes, and when they rigged it to blow, they egressed and went south. And we caught them further down south. We had, position to the north, command and control in the middle, a catch at the south. And the guys were borderline hypothermic after 45 minutes over there and soaking wet. And we set those explosives off. As a crow flies 2 kilometers away with my ops center, they felt the overpressure.
Welcome to Combat Story. I'm Ryan Fugit, and I served war zone tours as an Army attack helicopter pilot and CIA officer over a 15-year career. I'm fascinated by the experiences of the elite in combat. On this show, I interview some of the best to understand what combat felt like on their front lines. This is Combat Story. Today we have a fantastic combat story with former Navy SEAL officer Rob Sarver. Rob had a bit more fun than most on his path to becoming a SEAL, originally with a detour as a surface warfare officer that he very skillfully managed to curtail and leveraged a really interesting network to get a shot at the teams. This episode is chock full of both great stories from downrange, but also really practical advice and explanations for getting ahead and succeeding, much of which has been made into his book, Warrior to Civilian, the Field Manual for the Hero's Journey. In this episode, Rob covers some amazing stories of ingenuity in combat, like using innertubes to float quietly on an assault, to using copper wire to make 2 different radio sets compatible for field use in combat. And despite Rob's obvious successes, from attending the Naval Academy to his time with the SEALs, graduating from Wharton, working in private equity, he also hits on the tougher moments, covering topics of loss, fear, desperation, losing someone on day 1 of a deployment, losing very close friends from his time at the academy and the teams. Don't worry, there are plenty of laughs and hilarious anecdotes, like the story behind the phrase, "Moderation is for cowards." With that, please enjoy this combat story with Rob Sarver. Rob, thanks so much for taking the time to share your story with us today.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for having me.
You've got, for people who can't see, who are listening, you've got the Warrior to Civilian book behind you. You've actually got a very cool backdrop, yes. I got to say. You got Warrior to Civilian, yep, so people can see it here. Looks like you got a hard copy coming out January 28th of 2025, depending on when people listen to this. But as I was prepping for this, I noticed you got a blurb in there from McChrystal. And I was just curious, how does one go about getting on that guy's radar? Did you know him from before, from your time with the teams? What's the deal there?
No. So 2 SEAL connections back to McChrystal. One is a good friend, classmate from the Naval Academy, who actually worked for McChrystal Group, and it was the best man at my wedding. He had the connection there, and then Commander Kirk Cronin, who's a 98 grad from the Academy, kind of circled back and gave the other introduction there to Stan. But just that was an amazing interview, and it's been an amazing relationship the last 3 or 4 years with him.
I can only imagine. That's pretty cool to have his name on your book. It's got to mean a lot, I have to imagine.
It means it's incredible. And he's the one that really set the tone for the book on being very practical to help veterans.
Yeah, I mean, it's described, I think, in the title as like a field manual almost.
Yes.
To kind of give people the steps that they need, right?
Yes, it is. And everybody we've shared the book with, who's read it, and they've come back, it's like, okay, you guys hit the mark. You guys nailed it. This is the most practical book that we've read on how to get out.
I'm sure we'll get to it, but did you struggle getting out? Is that where this kind of came from, or you saw other people struggling?
I did. It took me, if I think back, it probably took me 2 years to kind of find a baseline of normal. And then I started going through all those life challenges. And I just, offset from my baseline, very different from combat, new terrain. So I had to go back and get help. And I went through about 2 formal programs. And then I found a good psychiatrist to kind of help me through stuff. And then meeting Alex, he was the one that saw the universal themes in our lives.
Is your co-author?
He is the co-author, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I know we'll get into a lot of this, but I just wanted to make sure we touched on, obviously, the book so people can pre-order it now in a few different places, and we'll have links in the description. Noting the backdrop you've got some of the coins behind you. Do you have a favorite up there?
I have CIA. That's up there.
Nice.
Just a shout out to you. Numerous SEAL teams. I think I do. There's a bunch sitting up here. I'd have to get up and look, but Secretary of the Navy when he came out to my site in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And he actually wrote me a personal thank you for spending some time with him. And then his name escapes me right now, from Charlie Wilson's War. I cannot remember. He was at the agency at the time. Vickers. Vickers was out there.
Yeah, so we've interviewed him.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes. So Vickers came out with the Secretary of the Navy, and I know his coin's floating around back there as well. So those, I think, would probably be the two that I would really cherish. Yeah.
Maybe for people who don't know what that's like to have a VIP at that level visiting to your site, how stressful is it? Like, how much does it take you out of the day-to-day of just operations?
It's almost a 2-day stand down. Oh. Like, okay, he's coming, and it's down to like, all right, guys, clean up all your stuff. Come on, let's make this look professional. Garrison uniforms, no torn op tops. Let's do this. But actually, we caused a massive stir. So I was with SOTF West underneath MARSOC, and we were the only SEAL element out of 12 teams. You had MARSOC, ODA. We were the only SEAL team, or SEAL platoon, excuse me. And he landed at Camp Leatherneck, spent an hour on the ground with the head shed, didn't see anybody else, and flew out to see us. There were some unhappy people that he would go all the way out to see us. And I remember after, spending the time with them, and he's like, okay, Lieutenant, this has been great. What can I do to help you out? Is there anything you need? And I was like, hey, sir, when we get back, the guys really don't want to shave their beards. Can you help us out?
Did he even dignify that with an answer?
He did. He laughed, and it's just one of those, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. Nice throw in there, Lieutenant.
That's great. It's great. Okay. So, and then just one other thing, you got a picture behind you. It looks like two folks there. I assume that's pretty meaningful to you to have it up there.
It is. So in the picture is, at the time, Lieutenant Dow, Lieutenant Brendan Looney. Brendan Looney was my roommate through SEAL training, also my classmate from the Naval Academy. Unfortunately, this is the last picture taken of Brendan, a turnover op in 2010 in Afghanistan. Helicopter, you would know this, was trying to attempt to do a pinnacle landing, had a brownout. So instead of holding steady and letting the dust settle, the pilot, who was very inexperienced after the report that we read with pinnacle landings, turned towards the mountain instead of out. Clipped the rotor, flipped the bird, ejected 9. 9 died. Lieutenant Dow survived, but unfortunately Brendan did not. And just to give you an idea of how hard they hit the ground, Brendan's rifle, where the upper and the lower come together, probably the strongest part of the weapon, right above that trigger mechanism, sheared the gun in half.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
They were classmates of yours?
Brendan was a good classmate. Also, his roommate from the Naval Academy, Travis Mannion, died in 2007 in Iraq, and we buried both of them next to each other in Arlington.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, and it's an amazing story, both of them. There's a book that Colonel Tom Mannion captured with Tom Saleo called Brothers Forever. It's a great book.
Yes, Tom Saleo I really like. He, I think, also wrote Three Wise Men.
He did.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
So we kind of obviously have had that on the show as well. Wow. Very, very interesting. So look, let's talk just briefly, if you can give people an idea. Where did you grow up? How did you find your way into the military? Any crazy story from you as a kid that was like, hey, this guy's probably going to be a SEAL one day?
Oh gosh. We don't have enough time to cover the crazy stories. My parents had doubts many times along the way. It's like, what the hell is this kid going to turn out to be? So my father served as a B-52 pilot for 28 years.
No way.
So back in the Cold War, it was every 2 to 3 years you would move. There was no homesteading. So I have lived in Spokane, Washington, to Florida, to the Pentagon, to Richmond, Minot, North Dakota, Louisiana. So we moved. I moved with him, with my moves in the Navy and my father's service. I've moved 14 times. So I would say, I remember maybe probably early on. So my father did a remote tour when I was probably 4 or 5 to Saudi Arabia. He was a general's aide. We got to accompany over there for 4 or 5 months. I had free reign. So this 1984, 1985, running around the base in camis, and the MPs would try to come find me because I wasn't, it's not the safest place in the world. That was probably maybe the start of my adventures. And then, growing up, I think probably every adolescent, checking the box, the things that I've done stupid. But I think the real test was, so my father got assigned to NATO. So I went to my last 3 years of high school at Shape, Belgium.
Yeah, that's where I was born. That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is before 9/11.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing happened. I was legal to drink before I was legal to drive. So my father set me down. He's like, okay, I guess there's really no way around this. Let's talk about moderation. And I hadn't learned it yet from the SEAL teams that moderation is for cowards. So I probably indulged a lot, probably too much in high school. I had a ration card in high school. I could walk down and buy hard liquor at 17, 18 with a ration card and Cuban cigars for nothing. No.
And the beer is so good in Belgium.
It's amazing. I wouldn't know. I just went to church.
Totally.
And drink water. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was probably the not a good baseline to go into military college with.
What was the draw though for the military? Obviously you go to the academy, like you're on a path for this.
No, you're right. I skipped over that. So the itch probably really came to fruition so my father was bomb squadron commander in Barksdale. And they were doing a air show. This is probably 1992, 93 in Louisiana. So we go out and it was great. I mean, my father was a squadron commander. I could hop in the old flight line trucks, just go around, see all the B-52s.
Awesome.
Yeah, the A-10s, F-15s, F-16s. But as they're standing up for the air show, getting everything, like over in the corner of this hangar is all the cami netting, the old 1980s, 90s cami netting. And there's guys in there literally just rubbing sticks together, getting ready to for their display to make fire. And it was Air Force Spec Ops, their PJs. And I was like, okay, Dad, what is that? That's kind of cool. And he kind of walked me through. He's like, okay, they're part of Special Operations Command. I was like, oh, okay, all right. And it was right about that time. I might be about a year or two off. That movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen.
Classic.
So that experience, seeing okay, who are these cool guys? And then seeing Charlie Sheen jump off a bridge, it's like, I can do this.
This is for me.
It's like, I can jump off a bridge and be fine. Yeah. That was the itch. And then it started more and more. But I mean, we come up as products of our environment. So my high school and formative years, I spent 1 year in private school because the schools were so bad in the U.S. This is in Montgomery, Alabama. And then I went overseas to NATO. So my complete surrounding was nothing but military. And I think that's solidified. Okay, I want to serve my country.
Interesting. Just quickly with your old man, is he still alive or no?
He is. Rob? Yes, he is.
Have you all watched Masters of the Air?
We have not. I've been hopefully saving that for us to watch together. I've heard it's amazing.
I'd be curious, to get somebody like him, his thoughts on that. It's just amazing. Some of the bombing runs these guys did in World War II. It's just hard to imagine what they went through. Okay. So you go to the academy. I have seen this tradition there of these guys climbing some really slippery statue or monument.
Herndon. Yes, Herndon.
Have you done this?
I did not join my class on that. And I had a massive chip on my shoulder. Reason being because I went to VMI for a year. Mm-hmm. And then I transferred. And I was at VMI when the last all-male class was there.
Wow. Okay.
So we had some pretty good beatdowns, some pretty good sweat parties, as they call them. So coming through that, I had the chip on my shoulder, kind of restarting. I did rat year and I had to go back and be a plebe.
Oh,
yeah. So I got in constant trouble. I had not figured out how to kind of learn the system first. or at least like, don't be so blatant and be an idiot. So when I got to the end of plebe year with Herndon, I was like, I've done 2 years of this. I'm just going to sit back and watch. Probably looking back on it, not participating and like helping the class, that's on me. I apologize to my classmates, but there seemed to be enough eager people to get up there in front and climb up that thing.
Got it. Okay. And my understanding is making it into the teams coming out of the academy is incredibly competitive. I would assume having disciplinary challenges affects that. And I think you end up going a different route before you go to the teams. Is that right?
You're hitting on quite the life theme here.
All right.
Yes. My freshman year of transgressions caught up with me pretty good. And I had to kindly go out to Big Navy for a little bit. So I went out for a couple of years and I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to Paradise. So I ended up in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, which was great. But I never realized that my stuff would be there and I would always be gone.
Yeah.
So, but I was fortunate enough to get a SEAL billet out of my ship tour in Hawaii, and I went and checked into BUDS after that.
And that was the goal, right?
It was the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate goal.
When you had the big Navy, not decision, but you're going that path, was that tough for you to kind of take on, or you knew that was happening just given some of the transgressions, as you noted?
I knew it was there and it was coming. And so to give you an idea, most folks, when you go to service selection, you pick your ship, it's a big deal. You're in Memorial Hall and they have all the ships up there and you walk up and, all these commanders and captains and admirals are cheering you on. I went up there and just stood and they kind of like, hey, Rob, what's wrong? Like, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't even know where to go. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is not my first choice. And they're like, so they're up there. I said, like, oh, this is a good ship out of here. This is a good one. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, I'm just going to go to Hawaii and live in paradise.
You're like, which one is going to Hawaii?
Yeah, which one in Hawaii would be good? So that's how I ended up in Hawaii.
When you get to Hawaii, what is the ship that you're on and what's your role? And how, if at all, does this set you up for the teams?
It did not. No, I did myself no favors. So the ship was the FFG 37, the Cromlin, which I believe now sits at the bottom of the ocean. It's an old frigate, which they're no longer part of the carrier groups that took everything off. So they're doing drug ops, and I think they're all phased out today. All right. So when I showed up, I was given hints like, okay, don't tell anybody you want to be a SEAL. Just kind of blend in, be the top performer. Okay. So I had gone to dive school and I'd gone to jump school. So I took all my pins off and I just sat there and, try to play the game, try to show up and do all this. And I remember being down at admin one day and they were going through my file and just perfect alignment. The master of arms walked by, Navy chief, and admin was going through. He's like, "Oh, you have your Navy jump wings and your dive bubble?" I was like, yeah, I did those as a midshipman, and it just did a 180. He's like, you have those qualifications you're not wearing? You're technically out of uniform. I'm going to report you. I'm like, come on, dude.
You win.
I mean, so I go from, slick to nothing. I show up like, instant recon showing up, and the ship's doing a 180. They're like, wait a minute, how did you get these qualifications? And I start walking through like, well, I did jump school. I did dive school. I tried out for the Army's CDQC. I gave up spring break to go do that with, I think it was 3rd Bat and some Delta guys. And then, stories start coming out. And then it did not help. I also, the constant theme here, I had not grown up and learned, pushed the envelope too much on the ship, got in trouble. I got ranked dead last among 9 ensigns.
No way.
Dead last. A guy who had a DUI was in front of me. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to rethink this whole transfer to SEAL thing. Like this is not looking good.
Just a quick word from our sponsor, Mint Mobile, and we'll get right back to this combat story. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. I still love that there were no hidden charges or gotchas with Mint Mobile, which isn't always the case with phones. Here's some things that I find important. First, the cost is completely reasonable, unlike other companies. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. I can use my own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring my phone number along with all my existing contacts, which is great. Plus, all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/combat story. That's mintmobile.com/combat story. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/combat story. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And now, back to this combat story. Rob, how'd you dig yourself out?
Thank God, a new CO.
And that was it? You just saw something in you?
So what happened was, there was an interesting confluence of things that happened. So Big Navy did away with the surface warfare school right after graduation. So normally you graduate, go to that for 6 months, then go to your ship. So they did away with it. So you had ensigns from the previous year. You had the influx from 03 coming in. Mm. Now you had 04 coming in. So you had this deep stack. We had like 4 or 5 extra ensigns that we needed. So I was competing. I was kind of back of the line. Well, these guys were so, I hate to say this, some are still friends, but you guys were lazy. They were getting their SWO qualification, their ship driving pen, at 22 to 27 months as they're leaving the ship. So I knocked it out in 15 months. Mm-hmm. So that saved me a little bit with the new CO coming in. And then if you remember back at the beginning of the war, the combat units they were so stressed with, and they needed help. So they were doing those individual augmentees. So we knew our Desra on our ship was going to get pinged with one. So I had earned a letter of commendation from a 3rd Bat Commander SF when I did the pre-CDQC course at Bragg over my spring break. Mm. He wrote me a letter. I stayed in touch with him, and I called him and I said, "Hey, Colonel," at this time now he's Siege of AP in Iraq and 5th Group Commander. I was like, "Hey, our ship's about to be dinged for an IA. If I step up and take it, can I come work for you?" And he said, "Okay, under one condition. If you don't get picked up for buds, you have to branch transfer and go SF." Damn. And I was like, you know what? Just get me off the ship. Deal. I say that humbly. People who work on subs and ships, my hat's off to you. I cannot do that job.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that what you did? You did an IA tour with him?
I went 06 to Siege of AP Command in Balad, Iraq, to work there with them. Got outside the wire a few times, went down to Bayat, Baghdad. Probably went down Route Irish with not knowing too much that I should not have.
Jeez.
So that was my first tour under 5th Group, Siege of Sodif, when I was still assigned to my ship.
Wow. How good was it to see the war from that perspective? Like so early on, huh?
It was awesome because there was no wall at that time between JSOC and Siege of Sodif.
Oh, wow.
We had liaisons on both sides. And then, the colonel did me a huge there. He gave me a TSSCI clearance. So I got to see both of those worlds. And I think it was right after I left is when they started doing the division. But I mean, you're talking about the ramp up to EJK, extrajudicial killing in the Civil War. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were still taking, 80, 90 casualties a month when I was there. If I remember, because Ramadi 06 was just kind of winding down. SEAL Team 5 came in. Mike Mansour's Medal of Honor package was just being routed. So I got there right when all that was happening.
What a perspective, man. Instead of being on a ship somewhere.
Yes. Wow. So I got to see that before I went to SEAL training. So I was leaps and bounds ahead of anybody in my class having seen that. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Just real quick. Your ability or the balls to call that guy, Like, hey, I was in a course with you guys for a hot second. Can you just help me? Is that pretty typical of your path? And is this kind of something that comes up in the book, just about like leveraging your network, or I don't know? Not everyone would do that.
No, that's a great point. In the military, let me answer the last first. In the military, we do talk about it. We do not know how to leverage our network because we were so confined to chain of command.
Yeah, and we're so true.
We can't. It's like, man, that admiral or that general looks. God, I would love to go sit with Stan.
Yep.
We don't pick the phone up and do that. I mean, no aide would ever let us that close, but that's the power of networking that we don't learn. Now, I will say this, if you're in a joint environment or you're at a joint command, you kind of get it a little bit, but you still have that respect for command structure that you don't push those limits. I think, honestly, I think I was kind of at the end of my rope. And I was like, he wrote me a letter of commendation. I'm going to float this out there and see.
Yeah.
And he loved it. Because, I mean, those guys, I'll say, they beat the hell out of me for a week. I was the only midshipman. It was nothing but Green Berets and Delta guys. And they beat me up pretty good day 1, day 2. But by the end of the week, I hit every drill and I was in the number 1 swim team.
Jeez. And what were you working on for that week? Is it clearing? Is it fighting combatives? Is it like, what is?
No, it's a straight. So, it's PT 6 in the morning, long mile runs, calisthenics, all that. Then you go into classroom. Then you got about 3 hours of pool time. So you're doing your 25 meter underwater. You're doing treading with bricks. You're doing your 50 meter underwater. The worst was they would set up buoys in the pool, and we'd have to swim with fins with a 16-pound weight belt around these buoys. But every time we'd come up, there was always a guy on the side of the pool with a hose. And so you're trying to get air, you just put the hose in your face. I was like, then they call me like every name but a white man. And it's like, all right, this is great. And then you have an afternoon class, and then you go swim in Mott Lake at Fort Bragg. I'm sorry, it's not Bragg anymore, but you go swim a mile or mile and a half every day.
Jeez. And then also, just before we jump into the team stuff, you mentioned you got your Navy jump wings. I have to admit, I did not know that there was a course for this. So I just thought folks went to Benning or what, more. What is
I went to Benning. Yeah, okay. I went to Benning. So I found another constant theme is if you tell me no, I'm going to go find the window or just break down the wall. Okay. But with my father's help, I'll be completely honest, he helped me track down, it's called the Navy Quota Management Office in the Pentagon.
Damn.
They control all the jump billets for the Navy. So when West Point has 200 jump billets and they don't fill them, they used to kick them over to this Navy Quota Management Office. And then they would fill SEALs and EOD guys going. But if the BUDS classes and EODs guys didn't line up, these billets just never got filled. So I called every week for 8 months.
I love that. Yeah.
I was like, can I please get a billet? Because when West Point, if they did have surplus, they would give the Naval Academy some billets. But if you weren't in the top 200 of the class, you couldn't compete. And I looked at that. I was like, okay, in all fairness, there might be 5 guys in the top 200 that are going to go fill a jump billet in the military. And everybody else wants to do it for an incentive. I get it. But I was like, this is my mission. This is what I want to do. So I kept calling, and then I managed to piss off the Naval Academy again when the professional development, they saw my name pop up with a billet.
Oh, yeah, I bet they were pissed.
And they were like, wait a minute, how did you get you didn't even do the screener. I was like, I found the office that controls the billets. They were not happy.
I love it. Okay. That's awesome. So, what's the moment you figure out that you've been accepted into BUDS?
Okay. Yeah. Great. Interesting story. So Brendan was colorblind. So he was an intel officer, and he got to go over and serve with SEAL Team 3. So he was sitting there at Intel, and at the time it was Commander Green. I think he's a 3-star now. He helped. He came up to Brendan. He's like, "Look, I love you, like you. Would you like to come over to the SEALs?" He's like, "I'm colorblind." So they created I think it was called an unrestricted board, where they would look at guys with color blindness or some other, some other issue. And Brendan got picked up. So as he was leaving Al Anbar province, he stopped in Balad and stayed with me that night. He's like, hey, bud, I got an extra room. Just come stay with me. He stayed one night, then he flew out the next day. That's when we decided to be roommates. I was like, well, my package is in. If I get picked up, I'll try to get in your class. So about, I would say about 3 weeks later, I found out I got picked up, selected. So I went to the colonel, CJSOT FA commander. I was like, hey, sir, I got picked up. We had a deal. If I got picked up, you'd let me transition out or get out of Balad. He's like, when do you want to leave? I was like, there's a bird tonight.
Damn. I'm out.
I was like, I got 6 weeks to get home to Hawaii, sell my place, and get in class 265. Let's go.
Jeez. And so you roomed with Brendan then?
Roomed with Brendan through Butts. Yes.
How important was that to getting through it? Like knowing a guy that closely?
It was awesome. I mean, it was everything. Brendan he got honor man out of our class.
Wow.
I mean, had he not have been colorblind, he would have gotten a bill out of the academy. I mean, this is a guy 5'10", 190, running 5:15 miles. He was just a physical stud. So every day I was like, I'm going to try to keep up with Brendan. And
that kind of got you through.
It did. And then very, very early on, so the day before, 2 or 3 days before starting first phase, a very good friend of ours from the Naval Academy, Casey Kimmer, called us. And this is, still flip phone era. And Brendan had left his phone in the truck. So I was the only one that had a cell phone on us as we were cleaning our barracks to move in to start first phase. And I got this call from Casey. He's like, hey, grab Brendan and go get some good cell service and call me back. I'm like, okay. Pull Brendan out of the parking lot, and we get this call from Casey, and Travis Mannion had just been killed in Iraq. And that was Brendan's roommate, the Naval Academy.
Right.
So I had never seen this done before, but right then you could see like the hair on the back of the Buds instructor's neck as he was coming over. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Standing around on a cell phone. It was actually JP Donnell, who's a good friend of mine today. But JP was like, what are you doing? We walked him through the scenario. He's like, you're done for the day. Get out of here. Come back tomorrow. Be ready.
Wow.
We're like, oh shit. Okay. So I remember driving Brendan back to the house, and the whole night was just making phone calls to family and friends. But we went back to Buds the next day.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that was 2007.
Did you guys go straight? Well, I assume he went straight through as the honor man.
We did. I think, I don't know where the statistics stand today, but to go straight through, soup to nuts, no injury, no rollback, it's about 11% chance.
It's got to be so rare. Wow.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a degree of luck there.
How many guys finished in your class in the end?
Originals, 39.
Amazing.
We started with 210 in NDOC, 141 first phase, 80 starting Hell Week, 40 completed Hell Week. And I think we lost one during demo in third phase, I think.
Okay. So, yeah. And you're graduating right at, that's a high point in the war. So are you just immediately hey, you're going out to a unit at that moment?
Within 4 days, I was back in Iraq.
No way.
Yeah, I could not attend Brendan's. So Brendan got married. I could not attend the wedding. I was right on a plane back over. So this would have been 2008. So at the end of American Sniper, about Chris Kyle.
Yeah,
we got to Team 3 right when Solder City was over. Right when Team 3 went and just decimated Solder City. We got to Team 3 right at the end of that.
What? All right. So 4 days, 4 days removed from training. What's your welcome like as the new officer to a team in combat, no less? It was.
We were kind of set down and hey, you're showing up on the shoulders of giants, because the 06 guys coming out of Ramadi, all these guys are still at the team, and one of the most, I would say, one of the most kinetic. I believe they're the most highly decorated unit. Excuse me, one of the most highly decorated unit of the teams since Vietnam. Something like 13 Purple Hearts, 7 Silver Stars, Medal of Honor. I mean, just, the list goes on and on and on. So we're coming in on the shoulders of giants. So we were set down and we were very sternly told this. But it was also kind of cool because there's 2 other junior officers from 264 that had shown up. And one of them was Dan Crenshaw, Congressman Crenshaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Dan and I, we all kind of became friends in our misery doing talk work and admin work.
And you're waiting to get out to like a, I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Well, my saving grace was he's actually in charge of Base Training Command now. A very good friend of mine from the Naval Academy called me out to Al-Assad. Went out there and he snuck my name on a force list to go off. And this is when we were looking for rat lines, folks still coming across the border. So we'd fly out there in the, I'm trying to remember, we took 47s out and we had the little dune buggies. And we spent 3 days out there. Remember the old scene from Spaceballs, like combing the desert? Like there's not shit out here?
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it was like for 3 days.
Was that your first mission?
That was my first op. Yes. Out there combing the desert. Yeah.
I mean, I guess uneventful, but probably felt pretty cool rolling out in some Chinooks with dune buggies in the back. And
oh yeah,
that's cool.
It was awesome. And when we came back, I think every tire was flat, so you can just see us just rolling off on the flight line. Everybody's just looking at us like, who the hell are these guys?
Oh God! All right, and does that become your platoon at that point, Rob, or no?
Yes, I fell underneath my buddy as an AOIC, an assistant platoon commander. But then in between, I did language school, which is a great story in itself because SOCOM was spending $50 million a year on interpreters. They're like, wait a minute, Green Berets have to learn a language. Why can't everybody else? So the fix was send everybody to language school. They'll be proficient. And maybe we can scratch off that line item, that 50 million. It's not going to happen. We can't do that. But I was in class 2 of doing this. So nothing was formal. So it was like, here, go to San Diego State University. Here, you get teacher, student, or you get faculty credentials. So you go use the gym, parking, food, whatever you want. Grow your beard out, wear civvies. We don't want the media to know you're there. Okay. Well, it just so happened the first week we were there was rush week. So we had a great, I know. See, I don't feel like I'm looking for trouble. I just think it just kind of, I'm the victim. It just kind of follows me.
Totally.
I mean, who would not go down to student services and try to sign up for rush week? So as we did that, I guess we were flagged in the system. So they called the dean, and the dean called Warcom, and then called our command. And I mean, within an hour, phones are going off like, get your asses back to the command now. And we just, the verbal lashing up and down, you're there. No one's supposed to know you're there. You're not joining fraternities. There's some other choice words in there, but then after that, I did another augment, but this time I rolled out the door with Dam Neck.
Wow.
So Dam Neck, you could throw your name in the hat at the team. If you'd already completed a deployment, which I had when I showed up with Team 3, and they took 2 officers and 3 enlisted guys to assign to a new squadron that was just being stood up. So I got to go do 90 days on that side on more or less a support role. So I was daytime ops, and then I had another guy who was nighttime ops. But the beauty of that was it was kind of the good deal, wink, wink. You perform for us. Hey, good dude, we'll bring you out on a couple ops to see what it's like. And the 1 or 2 ops I got out on, all shit broke loose. Massive gunfights, good A-10s coming in doing strafing runs. We had IEDs going off, RPGs going off. And I was in the gunfight with the commanding officer of the new squadron who was just laughing at me the whole time.
Why was he laughing at you?
Well, because I had to stay with the C2 element, so like I was kind of restricted. So as the assault force was pushing out, he just jumped in the assault force and kind of just looked back. It was one of those, man, sucks to be you, and just kind of kept going. Thank you, sir. Yep.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'll get your backpack later.
Were they as proficient as you would have expected, just hitting the targets?
Unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, we did an 11-click insert. We did an 80-man strike force going out.
That's huge, isn't it?
It was huge, but we had 4 drones in the sky. I mean, the level of assets you get is unparalleled to do these ops. So
sorry, keep going.
Nope. No, I was going to say, so building out my junior officer career, so I'd already seen Siege SOTF. I'd already gone down to a SOTF command, and then I go over to JSOC to do 90 days over there. So by the time I go back, to your point, I worked with my buddy. Now this is rolling into 2010. We had to cover down on so much. They pulled me out and made me a platoon commander. So I went out to Al Qaim, which is on the Syrian border, and I had a detachment out there by myself right out the gate as a new JO.
How hard is it to kind of win a team over as a junior officer?
It can be tough. It can be tough. You really have to fall in line, but you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. And I think that was probably, looking back on it, those, I don't want to say reinforced like bad habits, but I'll say like adopting the warrior ethos in everything that it was, but I still adopted all the bad habits too. Like I had strong mentors around me, but I just think at that point I was just still too stubborn. I was like, come on, dude. Like, I made it through SEAL training. I'm good. And I hadn't been fully knocked down yet.
Yeah. I say that a lot with the older I get, and I feel old as hell when I say this, but I'm like, that person probably just hasn't been hit in the face by life yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you get knocked down? Like, if you think about those times, is there a moment where you did kind of get busted down?
I mean, I had like these little, touching the frying pan a little bit.
Yeah. Like
actually getting burned, like knocked down. I think Brendan's death was a big one.
Not invincible.
In September 2000, not invincible. And then, but after that, it just never stopped. Then we go on my deployment in Afghanistan in 2012, and I got lucky. The XO at my command told our detailer that I had not done my platoon commander. They could have very easily said, yeah, Rob's done, move him on, get him out of the team. They said, no, he hasn't done his. So I got 2 platoons as a platoon commander. So I got to go back to Afghanistan. So when Brendan died, I actually slipped in and took over his platoon, which he would have.
No way.
Which was great.
He hadn't been there. He would have taken that platoon.
He would have taken that platoon. So it was awesome working with those guys, because they had spent 2 years with him, and I had known him for like 9 years. So it just immediately hit the ground. They knew who I was. I knew who they were. That was great. But we lost 4 guys on my last deployment, really 5, because at my command, my detachment, EOD 1 Regiment got killed the day we showed up.
No way.
And he was a friend back from the West Coast. More of the EOD guys, I knew who he was, but still knew him. And then we lost Lieutenant Moscow, EOD. And then in August of 12, an RPG shoot down a H-60. 2 Army guys died, 2 SEALs, and 1 EOD.
You were not on that shoot down, I presume.
No, I was not. That was actually the platoon that Dan Crenshaw was assigned to, and then I think Dan had gotten blown up before that. But it didn't stop. I got out in 13. I had 2 other friends die in training in 15. A couple other guys that have died since. So it really, once you step off that train, it will keep going full speed. That.
God, that is heavy. I wonder, just looking at your background, Rob, I saw on there, if you're comfortable with it, I'd love to hear kind of what went into this Bronze Star with Valor event. If you can give us context of like, where were you at in your career? Which of these deployments you just kind of alluded to, and what happened on that op?
So that was Afghanistan, 2012. So overarching. So it was, you have your summary of action for the single event, which I can talk about, but more over those 9 months. We did 430 counterinsurgency combat ops. I was the only soft team over there in Helmand. They did not take a U.S. casualty. Wow. I say that to the folks listening. I was investigated 5 times. We pushed the limits a lot, but turns out I had an enlisted guy with a law degree, and he looked at this and he kind of interpreted the law a little bit for us. Like, oh, okay, I can get around the law that way. President Karzai came after me in 2012. We can talk about that, but that single incident was of the 9 contiguous villages that we oversaw. That was our battle space. We had the southern point, or that was right on that Helmand River. And what they would do is insurgency would go and they would attack 1-8 or 1-7 Marines to my north and south. They very rarely would come fight me, because they just, by that point in the war, they knew, don't shoot at the guys with the beards. That was just kind of what they did. So they would go shoot north and south of me, but they would come through my AO and traverse the river. So I remember one particular event. It was south. A Marine got killed. Insurgents were egressing across the river, and you can watch them on the drone. They would stash their weapons right at this, I won't say a knoll, but just several trees right around there. They would ditch them and just basically put their hands up and walk away. You can't engage them. Yeah. As they were traversing the river, I took control of the drones at the time, and I did a Type 2 drop. Got approval.
For people listening, can you just describe what that is?
So remote, not on the ground. I'm actually watching a feed, and I'm lining up aircraft, east to west, come in, drop Hellfire, was it 88 millimeter rocket, if I remember. Mm-hmm. So Type 2 drop, not there on the ground, doing a remote feed. I saw these guys traversing the river, so I dropped it, took 2 of them out. And I immediately get phone calls like, okay, what are you going to do for battle damage assessment? By law, I'm going to put a drone up for 2 hours and make sure I don't have any collateral damage, civilian casualties. No, we really think you should go and do BDA. Like, fine, send me the helos. I'll go west of the river, which you've never approved, and I'll go get another gunfight. And it's one of those like, fuck you, click. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So continuous problems after that. I was like, all right, guys, here's what we're doing. Let's go down. Let's get sniper overwatch. Let's soften this up a little bit. So we go down, sniper overwatch. We weren't even in the house for an hour past daybreak, and we were already getting in shots fired. So we took out, I think, 2 more guys then.
This is covering that knoll area, Rob, or no?
Covering that knoll, that trees. Yeah. There was a village to the west, but right up on that embankment, there was this tree line where they used to hide stuff. And we saw guys moving with weapons, AKs. Snipers took the shots, took them out. So that was 2 more guys down from that location. And I believe all this is kind of my summary of action. So back to the BV, that's this. But I would say like the really cool thing that happened, the SOCOM historian came down after we did the op. It just continued. They continued to shoot up the Marines left and north and south. So finally, like, let's just swim across and go blow up the tree line. Let's just go blow up the weapons. So I remember, because I had a team of 6 out with the Marines doing like a 900-man clearance in, I think it was Nazari Sharif. And then, so the rest of my guys, we went for a swim. And it was...
How far are we talking, Rob? Like, what is this swim?
So we looked at this like, all right, how are we going to get across? It is maybe 100 meters across, but it's a 4-knot current, 13 feet deep, 55-degree water.
That sounds bad. 4 knots, I can't tell. 4 knots is pretty fast.
That's hypothermic conditions, 4-knot current, that's fast.
Okay.
That's moving. So we looked and it's like, wait a minute, they're using inner tubes out of tires. Let's just do the same thing. So we took our CO2 cartridges out of our dive tanks and our life preservers. We got rubber inner tubes. We went down there in the cover of darkness. We had 100 pounds of C4 and a bomb dog. That was the commander made us take the dog because they were not giving us air support west of the river on the ground. So we blew up the tubes. We laced them with 1 inch on the bottom to put the dog and the explosives in. Guys kicked on fins, and just like a lazy river, they offset 300 meters north, and they came down like a lazy river and skirted that 100 meters. Took about 45 minutes, and when they rigged it to blow, they egressed and went south, and we caught them further down south. So we had position to the north, command and control in the middle, a catch at the south. And the guys were borderline hypothermic after 45 minutes over there and soaking wet. And we set those explosives off. As a crow flies 2 kilometers away with my ops center, they felt the overpressure.
Not because of just your explosives, because of what it was blowing up, basically.
What we were blowing up, everything in there. And I tell you what, we pacified that area for 6 months.
Jeez.
And we kind of set back. We're like, why are we not doing more of this? Like, why can't we do more offensive ops? But honestly, I mean, after that, I kind of got the orders to kind of shut down where I was, and they wanted to move me over and put me kind of more on the south between Afghanistan and Pakistan to hit a network that was coming across the border there.
Okay.
So, but yeah, shortly after that, we turned over with the Marines to the north with a MARSOC unit, and then we moved out.
That's creative, and I feel like that is what a lot of us would expect of that special ops community, just like coming up with something creative to address a problem. And I'm sure that comes up in your book too.
It does, and I love the Jocko talks about his 4 things in combat, and I went through Jocko's training, a lot of his training cells, but that's decentralized command. That's giving the problem set to your folks and say, okay, guys, I don't have the answer. What do we do? And the new guys are coming up with this, like, let's just take inner tubes.
Yeah.
Like, love it, dude.
Great
let's
idea.
Go. Yeah, let's go. And it took me 2 weeks to get it approved, and we went.
Changing gears slightly here. You mentioned of these 4 people who died. The first one being an EOD guy who died on the first day of your deployment. I think that's what I heard you say.
That was right? EOD-1 Regilin. He was assigned to a ODA element that we relieved. So he died at our location the day we got in country.
How does that impact you all? Like seeing somebody die day one on your deployment?
It was shitty. I mean, we're on the ground. We're getting ready to go out there. I mean, we're not even, I don't think we had barely changed into our uniforms. And we're already doing a hero flight ramp ceremony at Leatherneck. And then we know the guy too, who's like, okay, things are not off on the right foot here. This sucks. Like, how do we overcome this? And from the leader standpoint, all I could do is try to put the first foot forward on everything. I was like, okay, no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. No, we're going to push on. We're going to look at, we're going to go down in these trail lines. We're going to do this. Like, no, we're going to do this, and keep pushing them until we kind of got over that. But, it got to the point in that deployment, like Crenshaw got blown up and then a helicopter got shot down. I'm sorry. We lost Lieutenant Moscow, hit an IED. Then Crenshaw got blown up. Then that helicopter went down. At the end of 9 months, when we stepped off, and I remember this very, very clearly, it was 3 days before my birthday. And we stepped off those vehicles at Leatherneck. It was 15,000 troops at Leatherneck between Brits and Marines, roughly. And I remember the load master for the aircraft came up. And now Benghazi had just happened, if you remember.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, you lost a pallet space. We had 9, you're down to 8. We got to send some other gear back with you. Can you break your weapons down and all your comms and everything? Can you break that down tonight and do inventory? And we'll take it over and stage it on the runway, and we'll have you loaded out. Because I was set to leave in about 2-3 days. I'm like, I'm on Leatherneck. I mean, general order, I only have to carry a pistol. Yeah, sure. Break everything down. That night was the base attack.
No.
With the 15 insurgents. So I remember I was in one of the Connex boxes, the makeshift showers, getting ready to shave the beard off after 15 months, growing out in the States and being deployed. And the rooms just rattled. Like, okay, what was that? I remember walking out, seeing the fireball go up. They hit the jet fuel. That was 3,000 pounds of jet fuel. And we were about a couple hundred yards, 200-300 yards away. And I remember the colonel running around the corners like, Rob, grab your guns, grab your kit. We're going to the airstrip. I'm like, I can't. Like, I just did inventory. Like, I've zeroed out crypto. Like, I can't. And then the discussion is like, well, wait a minute. Like, we can't even talk to the regular Marines. Like, no one has our crypto. We can't talk to the Brits. Like, what are we going to do? I mean, at the end of the day, we watched that gunfight. We watched our own aircraft, our own helicopters drop on our own airfield for 5 hours.
No way. What'd you guys do? Like, did you?
We put the 50 cows. We pulled 50 cows back up and put them on top of the Humvees and vehicles. But I mean, at that point, in the very heated conversations after the event, yes, we could have jocked up, put on iron sights, and maybe gone out there and tried to do something. The armchair quarterback here is, if you look at the insurgents, they all had on Army fatigues and they all had beards. So had we run around out there not being able to deconflict and tell people, we probably would have caused more chaos.
Yeah.
So we sat down, we had a lot of talks about this afterwards, that we probably did the right thing. But it was just one of those things at the end of deployment, like, God, we've already lost so many guys, and now this. And just to sit and watch that is like, and just to see, it's thousands of people trying to solve this problem. Like, what is going on?
That's interesting. That's a very vivid memory I have as well. So did you ever make it to Salerno in RC East in Coast?
No, I was in Kandahar and Helmand the whole time.
Okay. So, I was in there in 2008 and our base got attacked, and I was on QRF that night for, 2 Apaches just ready to go. And usually we're launching and we fly for 30 minutes before we can even talk to a ground unit. It's like so far to get outside of our province.
Yeah.
And this is like people are outside our gate now. So it's very different. But we launch. The base is controlled by an artillery battalion or regiment, whatever. An artillery unit, an Army artillery unit, who's not used to going outside the wire and fighting, at close range. They're used to dropping artillery on people. So we take off. FOB Chapman, which is, special ops, agency area nearby, here's this going on. They send all these guys out. It's at night, and you've got like artillerymen rolling around. All of these special ops guys come into the fight. We can't talk to anyone. It's complete chaos. And so you're right. I think it probably would have been even harder to deconflict guys like yourself on that battlefield when everyone's trying to solve a problem when they've never had to do this together before.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I actually, this is a funny story. I had a guy, so we would go out and we would clear some stuff at night for the Marines that were near us to kind of help soften some stuff up so they stop getting attacked. And we took one of their radios. Embitters don't talk to SINGARs. They don't connect. I had a guy take a plastic bottle cap top and take copper wire and put it in the cap with super glue to make a male-female end so we could talk to their radios.
And it worked?
It worked. It worked so well on that 900-man clearance op that I was telling you about. Their radios went down. Our guys called in air support for, I think they called in medevacs 9 lines for, I want to say 17. 4 guys died on that, 4 Marines. I think there was another 13 casualties. They called in on a bottle cap.
That is awesome.
Yeah. My guys
story.
pulled through that day.
Yeah. Was that a SEAL who came up with that?
No, it was one of my cryptologists that came up with that.
Okay.
But my SEAL was using it out in the field.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's some bond shit right there.
This
So I want to transition in just a second a little bit more to the book, but I just wanted to ask one last thing. What's the closest you came to dying on your 7 deployments?
Ooh. Other than hearing some rounds crack over my head, I mean, no, I never hit an IED. I had vehicles in front of me, caught some shrapnel. And 2 of my Afghan guys went right out the gate in front of me in a light-skinned vehicle and just decimated, just ripped through the vehicle, killed them. Probably small rounds, just hearing the crack over the head. So, I mean, that's probably the closest. Never in a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Hey, you're lucky.
All my friends can say like, "Yep, got that one. Case of beer." Never that. Probably a couple small on fire gunfights.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Look, when we look at the book, I have to imagine, just obviously given the title and what you alluded to as we started, it's heavily influenced by what you experienced in the military and kind of like trying to draw lessons. If you can kind of talk us through the book and why you wanted to pull it together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a small undertaking to do, and what some of the key stories are that you're trying to deliver for people. Yeah. What comes to mind?
Okay, so the book came about when I was working in private equity in the general counsel. I had helped his son transition from WNL to the Naval Academy. At this time, I was 17 years removed from the administration. So I'm like, okay, man, I'll try to help you. And he got in. And he has since graduated this past year, so I'm very proud of him. Yeah. As a thank you, Alex, my co-author, who's the general counsel, said, "Okay, Rob, I'm going to pull you under my wing, weekly calls, anything you want to know about debt, credit markets. You don't have a traditional investment banking background, especially in the debt side. I'll teach you everything." I was like, "Oh, sweet." But those conversations started turning to, "Rob, how did you transition out of this? Like, how did you deal with so much of all these stories that I just told you about, these loss of friends and going back and forth between combat to the regular world?" And I was like, "Alex, I didn't. Like, I thought I did. It took me 2 years to find this balance. And I had to go to like Baylor, Scott and White, go through their clinic. I had to go through another veteran clinic to get to the end of it. And they were like, "We don't have to do with you. Like, we can't help you anymore." And then finding a Vietnam era psychologist who really broke things down for me because he's been working with vets for 40 years. That was really found gold. And Dr. Glick is amazing. And Alex confided in me, he's like, "Rob, my wife died of cancer and I had to raise 2 boys on my own." And he went away. We stopped talking for, we went back to normal business. But he came back 2-3 weeks later. He's like, "Rob, we should really write a book that canonizes everything that you've been through, these lessons from combat, this, transition you go through." He's like, "Look, there's universal themes in my life and yours. We can completely different universes, but the themes are the same. There's lessons learned in success and failure. There's trauma. There's massive life transitions that we all go through: divorce, death, losing jobs." And he kind of put it together. He said, "Your terrain in the military and combat, the civilian is just as difficult. And if you're not prepared to make that transition and to go into that, you are going to have massive stress. Like 70% of vets have enormous amount of stress coming out of the military." So that's how the book kind of came about. But it really started with, let's write a memo. He wanted to write a memo for his son. So if his son does 20 plus years, Alex will be in his 80s. He wanted to have something to leave his son. But then we met Stan and we started talking to General McChrystal about this. And he's like, "Okay, you got something." Then we started talking about the hero's journey with Joseph Campbell and Homer's Odyssey and Odysseus. And he's like, stop. I don't do the touchy-feely things, but you're hitting on something here that every veteran, every person in the military goes through. And that we took another step back. But his parting words were, if you don't make this practical, it's not going to be worth shit. And that set us on at the time, 4 years of doing the research to write it.
Jeez.
Yeah, every time we would think of something like, ooh, let's go find the best person we can talk to about resumes and looking at a job. So I knew Dr. Josh Cotton, who worked with the Marines and then for the Navy and the SEALs, and he's looked at something over 300,000 resumes. And he almost has it down to a science of like where these guys will fit in from the military over to the civilian. So we got his intake. And then we started diving into PTSD, TBI, physical injury, moral injury, the world of emotions. So we wanted to go track down healers. We wanted to track down Captain Bob Kaufman, who retired 06. He stood up NICO over at Walter Reed. Mm. We wanted his take on psychedelics. He kind of promotes that, and he treats folks with that. So we wanted to get his intake. And then, healers, psychologists. And then I remember I ran this by a good friend of mine, Dan Knosson, who in 09, first op out the gate, SEAL Team 1, he was doing a turnover op. Assault force was going, so he took the high ground and went right into an IED field. Thank God the IEDs that were all daisy chained together, I think there was 8 or 9 of them. The chemical reaction didn't go full, so it went low order. But it still blew off his both legs at the knees. Guy crawled through the minefield, tourniquet him. Dan almost died. I mean, how many surgeries this guy went through. And he's just a very, very good friend from the Naval Academy. But in less than a year, he ran a marathon on blades.
Wow.
And then he goes to the Paralympics, and I think he has 6 medals. Then he has 2 degrees from Harvard. And I'm like, okay, Dan, I have to tell your story. You don't tell your story. I'm the president of your fan club. I'm going to tell your story. So we put him in the book of like, this is resilience. This is grit. This is no matter what you've been through, you can still control your own narrative, control your story, have closure on this process, and find new purpose. But Dan's also the one that said, Rob, you guys don't have anything for spouses or children. I'm like, you know what, Dan, you're right. So we went back in the book and we dove in and did another 8 months of research to write that one chapter for spouses because, Ryan, you know this, their service is just as, yes, they sacrifice just as much. So I'm piecing this together, what's in the book, but also we talk about finding new purpose. And I remember a lecture from the Naval Academy from a SEAL Master Chief. He's the only enlisted guy to ever teach, I think, at the Naval Academy, leadership and ethics. And he had this, vaguely from what I remember, we pieced it together like, okay, this has to be Heracles' circles of concern. And we talk about like, okay, what would be a good framework for someone getting out of the military to refine purpose? And you have to fix yourself first. That first ring is yourself. If you don't fix yourself, you're not going to function within your family. You're never going to be able to be a fully contributing member to your family unit. But that's reciprocated, right? Because you want all those things back from that family too. You want safety and trust and love and all those. If you don't, so fix yourself, then family. But every family, we know that we create a community. Like that is the ultimate thing within the community. But then you get very grandiose when you start looking like, or our communities make up us as citizens in our country for what we fought for. And then if you really want to go, so okay, where's my spot in the universe? Like, what am I doing here? If you want to go that far. So finding purpose, we do bring in Dr. Josh Cotton, how to look for a job, how to prep, resumes. And then we give all the annexes on our website for that.
That's awesome.
So that is a very high level.
That's great. You mentioned you had to go seek treatment before pulling this together. Yeah. What was it that was hindering you moving forward? Or what were you dealing with?
I think the simplest way to put it that I could relate back to everybody listening, and you might be able to relate to this too, is I compartmentalized everything. And Dr. Glick said, he's like, okay, Rob, I work a lot with you guys. You guys, and I'm going to sound very harsh for a moment. You guys just go kill someone and just keep moving. He's like, you don't think about anything you just did. He's like, you're good, but you're not that good. You cannot compartmentalize your life to where those things are not going to come forward. So you go and do these acts, and then you try to come back and you live in society, and you realize what you've done. You've compartmentalized this stuff. We're just a ticking time bomb ready to go off. All it takes is enough stress, divorce, binge drinking, alcohol, drugs, high risk behavior, infidelity. All these things play a part to us just collapsing and going down that spiral. So I think for me, it was getting out. It was loss of identity. It was never going and fully come to terms with so much loss. I thought I had survivor's guilt, but I remember sitting in, I kicked and argued, and I finally went to couples counseling right on the edge of my divorce. The counselor within 10 minutes is like, Rob, you have PTSD. It's like, I don't see a lot of military folks. I see PTSD in civilian folks. He put his pin down. He's like, we don't really need to talk. You need to go get help.
Wow.
And I walked out of there, in my my ex and my son's mother. She's like, please, for our son, please go get help. I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah. So
that was the first step. And I found a veterans organization. They kind of helped me manage life through my divorce and everything going on around me. After 12 months, I was like, okay, are we going to talk about PTSD? Like, we haven't touched that. And they're like, no, we don't know what to do with you. You're highly resilient. We get it. Like, you can hold a job. Like,
yeah.
We normally deal with folks that are alcoholics, drugs, homeless. It's like, who just need the basic steps. Like, we're just surprised you're functioning. I'm like, okay, shit, great. So who do I go talk to next? And then I kind of floated around for about another year. And then I found Baylor Scott and White Medical Center. They had a great program for about 16 weeks. I went through that. Still had a lot of questions in my mind, things to deal with, like, is it normal? Like what is my new normal? Where do I find new normal? And that's when I found Dr. Glick, and he's like, Rob, you're good. He's like, you just have to face these things. You have to understand what you've done, come to terms with it. He's like, you can reflect, or just please don't dwell. Don't dwell back in these things. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and also you have to unpack this a little bit. Like, you guys were taught just to go off and just kill. You need to take a step back. So.
And I'm going to get you out of here in just a sec, Rob. 2 questions I ask everybody before, these are quick ones. One is there anything you carried with you when you were downrange that had sentimental value, something somebody had given you, like a gift or a good luck charm, that you just liked having on you or nearby?
I never carried it never carried it on ops, but I had a picture of my family. And then on my last deployment, I had, so the jacket that Brendan is wearing, I actually had 2 of those. So when I did my augment in 2009 at Dam Neck, they gave us this jacket. I had an extra one, so I brought one back for him. He wore that on his last op. So I actually brought that picture with me.
Wow.
So I had,
that's cool.
Yeah, I had that with me. Yeah.
And then the last question that I ask everybody, across 7 deployments, a lot of kinetic activity, losing people you care about, probably suicides that we haven't even talked about. Looking back on those years, would you go back and do it again?
In a heartbeat. It's the best job, but like, to take all these guys that are so driven to one purpose, you can never replicate that ever again.
Agree.
Yeah.
Man. Thanks so much, Rob. People can find, obviously, Warrior to Civilian, January 28th, 2025. You can pre-order it now. We'll have links in the description here. Where can people find you, the book, everything online, Rob?
LinkedIn, just Rob, or I think it's Rob Sarver. Instagram, rob.sarver. Our company website is heroes, HEROES -journey.net. I can be reached that way too. I think that's probably three good avenues to track me down. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the time. This was a blast, Rob. Yeah.
Ryan, thank you. And thank you to your listeners. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode. That one was a lot of fun from my side. I don't know if it's similar year groups for us, but what could have been for me if I wasn't sitting in a cockpit at some point. God, such a hard life as a SEAL, genuinely. Obviously, a lot of upside, how cool that is, but also a lot of loss and just hearing, another SEAL losing their legs or helicopter crash, whatever it is. Lots of admiration for what guys like Rob have gone through. But man, very interesting interview. I thought, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the book. I'm going to try to get a signed copy if I can. With that, thank you so much for listening, y'all. You can check out our newsletter, combatstory.com/newsletter. Also, just a couple listener comments on the most recent episode from this one, at Bradley856. Thank you for being a subscriber. This was, of course, on the Daryl Utt interview. Solder City, unreal. Good stuff, Daryl. Thank you. And then another one from Immortal Tiger 1569. Great episode. Thanks for the interview. Really appreciate it. And then lastly, we've got one. This is from Thin Blue Line Life. This was on Andrew Bragg's interview, and he says, man, it was nice hearing someone tell the story of that hell. Shout out from Alpha Company 2508. Love hearing that. So thank you all for taking the time to leave those comments, connecting with us, and just listening. I know you got a lot of other things you could be doing. The fact that you spend your time listening to some of these heroes talk about the highs and lows means a ton. And it's exactly why we do this. So with that, wherever you are in the world, hope you have a great rest of your day, week, weekend, wherever you're at. And as always, stay safe.